On this installment of Alana's Artisanal Cooking Show, we're going to make banana nut bread. Okay, I've got my oven preheated to 300 degrees. I'm doing it at a really low temperature because I have a really large loaf pan. And if you have a smaller pan or a metal pan, I'm using Pyrex, you want to probably crank the heat up to 325 and bake for about an hour, maybe longer. They tend to take a while in the Pyrex dish, but it's really nice because it's got good insulating properties. Dry ingredients. 1 cup each of all-purpose and whole wheat flour. 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. 1.5 teaspoons of salt. 1/2 cup of brown and 1/2 cup of white sugar. And some spices, freshly grated nutmeg, ground cloves, ground allspice, cinnamon, and black pepper. My secret spice blend. Not a secret, no. Okay, wet team. I have 4 frozen bananas that I've thawed, and I've collected most of the juice from them, and we're going to use that in a glaze later on and to moisten the recipe if we need to. I've got 1/2 cup of canola oil, 1/3 of a cup of buttermilk, a tablespoon of vanilla, and 2 eggs. So wet team, dry team. Wet team goes first. And sugar kind of joins the wet team. It's sort of the bridge between the wet team and the dry team. I hope Alton Brown doesn't sue me for saying wet and dry team. So this is going to go in with the bananas and eggs. And this is sort of like almost a dump everything together recipe. And the vanilla. I'm going to put my salt in here too so I can get my granules broken up a little bit because the kosher salt's a little bit granular. Alright, so it's vegetable oil. And I'm going to hold off on the buttermilk because, well, I'll go ahead. What the heck. Handy dandy hand mixer. I'm going to mix this until the sugar crystals have broken down and combined thoroughly with the egg. Start it slow so it doesn't splash everywhere. At the end there's still going to be a few chunks of banana, and that's kind of what you want. That looks good enough. Now I'm going to put everything in a bigger bowl, and I'm going to introduce the flour gradually with the sifter into the wet ingredients. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and dump the spices in. I'm going to put my baking soda in my sifter. Go ahead and start spooning in the flour. I'm going to spoon my flour into the sifter and gradually mix it into the wet ingredients. This is so you don't get too many lumps and you don't want to over mix it. So this kind of cuts down on the number of times you have to stir the sifting. And it helps get a little bit of the bran out of the whole wheat flour. Like that. You can kind of do it in about three installments of flour, I guess. It's usually a good rule. Make sure you keep scraping down the sides. This is the final one. And see how it takes all the fluffy stuff out of the whole wheat flour. And if you want to, if you want some extra fiber, you can put that back in and it's totally fine. I'm just gonna take it out. I don't know. And it's gonna be a nice thick batter. It's gonna be almost like quick cream. But it smells really good. And like brown sugar and bananas. And finally the nuts. This is about where they go in. It's probably a cup and a half of chopped pecans. You can use walnuts or almonds if you prefer them, but being in the South, we got those pecans and I love them. This is what we want. So now into our pan and into the oven. And again, I've sprayed it really well with canola spray. And if you have a little more than can fit in, it will rise a bit because of your baking soda. You don't want to fill it more than like 3/4 full unless you want to avalanche. It should be just about right. Yeah. I'm just going to smooth out the top a little bit with my spatula. Make sure it's nice and even. You can kind of bang it on the counter a couple times. I like to do that. Or actually just kind of wiggle it. The wiggle helps a lot to even things out. That looks good to me. I'm going to set the timer for about 30 minutes, then I'm going to turn it, check it, see how we are. It's going to take a while because it's low and slow, but it's well worth the wait. You get a nice, moist, rich banana bread. Okay, we're starting to get brown around the outside, as you can see, and a little bit of rise in the middle, but it's still pretty loose inside. And this is a really huge loaf. So I'm turning down the heat to 275, and I'm going to put it in for 20 more minutes at this point. Just try to cook it slowly and gently so it doesn't get too brown or burned on the outside and it gets cooked through in the middle. Loaf is cooked. It's springy on the top, nice and brown around the edges. It's going to be nice and moist inside, but it's going to be crusty like a nice loaf of good rustic bread. It's really, that's what makes it more of a bread than a cake. It's, to invert your loaf, put your rack upside down, grab your pan with your mittens, turn it over like that, and hopefully it comes out. This sucker is still very hot. Ah, yes. Success. This is what you want. And you want them to cool for at least 15 minutes minimum. Half an hour, 2 hours would be great. Just let it set for as long as you can resist before cutting into it. But it is nice when it's still warm and you can put like butter on it. It's good. Got 2 cups powdered sugar, a whisk, about an ounce of rum, which is going to go right in here. The rum is optional as long as you have the banana juice, which is the magic ingredient that makes this glaze really insane and worth the calories. So I'm going to start with just a couple tablespoons of it probably, and it doesn't take a lot to dissolve this much powdered sugar. It doesn't take a lot of liquid, so we're just going to use a little bit, and you can save the rest of it for your banana pudding or a daiquiri. A banana daiquiri would be good. It's about 2 tablespoons. So I've got about 3 tablespoons of liquid in my 2 cups of powdered sugar right now. And we're gonna whisk, 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 whisk. This is also nice. You can just use milk if you don't have banana juice and rum. You can use milk or cream, or just water even, or lemon juice. Orange juice would be nice. This. But if you're using frozen bananas, just totally use the frozen banana melting juice because it's concentrated banana goodness. That's probably 2 more tablespoons of liquid. So we've got about 5 tablespoons of liquid in there now, and 2 cups of powdered sugar. And it's going to taste like bananas Foster on top of it. It's going to be great. Now we're about done mixing the glaze. This is a nice consistency. You want it to be sort of like cinnamon roll icing. Our banana bread has been resting for about an hour and a half to cool. It takes about as long to cool as it does to bake, which is a long time, but it's really worth it. So please try it. I encourage you. So here's our rum glaze we made earlier, our rum and banana juice glaze. And I have my whisk, and I'm going to drizzle it all over the top. Thusly, if you want to be really naughty, you can poke a bunch of holes in the top, and it'll seep down inside, and it'll be really insane. Behold the glory that is the finished banana bread. Check out the rivulets of delicious frosting. If you could have smell-o-vision, this would be really insane for you right now. So I am fixing to stab it with my fork and cut a couple of slices. So end piece is always for whoever made it. But in my case, I get to have a nice thick slice. Now this is excellent with butter. I get a nice corner piece because I love the crusty parts of everything. There's plenty of pecans, and here you can see the detail in there. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you'll like us and subscribe to the channel if you want to, and you know, we'll keep you posted about events we're going to do, and hopefully make some more recipes you'll like and try. If you have any suggestions, comments, requests, questions, leave them in the comments below. Enjoy.